Hello, my name is Connor Gillespie, and for my ITT 3110 project, I created Telebook, a simple contact management application. Before we jump into the video, I wanted to give a quick disclaimer. Before this course, I had never developed with the C programming language. With this in mind, please understand that this application may not implement the best practices of the C programming language. Up until this point, I've been a hobbyist programmer for almost 5 years, so I've attempted to implement as many best practices from the years of experiences that I have. Yet there is no guarantee that this application is secure or bug-free by any means. If you encounter a bug in the application, feel free to submit an issue on my GitHub repository, which I'll link in the description. I will attempt to fix it as soon as possible. Thanks for understanding, and let's get on with the video. Alright, to get started, let's start by running the application. To do that, you have two different options. Either you can double click on the exe to automatically open it in command prompt, or you can manually open it by running shift right click, selecting open PowerShell window here, then typing a /telebook.exe and then pressing enter, and that will open it in Windows PowerShell. As of the moment, this application is not supported on Unix systems. It's strictly Windows. Alright, so let's get started. When we first open up the application, you're presented with this home screen. So this is currently the login screen. So if you had an account, you could sign in as of right now. But if you do not have an account, you have the option to create an account or quit the application. So just to show you how the quit works real quick, if I type Q, it will just shut it out. If I put a capital Q, it will quit out too. Super simple. I made sure to check for both characters because I understand that like some people accidentally put a lowercase. Another thing while we're here, I spent a lot of time trying to color format and format the menus to be easy on the eyes. I wanted everything to be very simplistic and very easy for users to find their way around these menus. I just felt that helped build the overall user experience of the application. So I did this by using ANSI escape codes, async art, and then a variety of other menu techniques that I've learned throughout my experience as a programmer. So to start off, let's start by creating a new account because currently there are no users in the Telebook global list. So I will just enter a C. This could be lowercase or capital for every single menu selection throughout this application. So once you get prompted, it's going to ask you for a username. For this case, I'm just going to put my name, so Connor. It's going to ask for a password. I'm going to enter a password for now. And then this is where you'd enter your phone number. You'd want to use the correct information, obviously, so that other users could find you. But for this time being, I'm just going to enter 123. Once you do that, you'll be prompted with a successful creation, and then it will ask you to press any key to return to the next menu. So for example, if I press the letter G, I'll be sent back to the next menu. As you can notice, there is now a users.data file that was created automatically. This is where all the user account data is stored. So if the application shuts down or for some reason it crashes or there's an error in the program, all your user accounts will be stored in this file and will load upon starting the program. That way the data storage is persistent. If we take a look at this file, we'll notice that some of it is in plain text and some of it is not. Something that you'll notice is that the password is not a password. So my password was just password, but you cannot find this anywhere inside this file. So the reason that this happened was because Telebook uses an algorithm to hash passwords. One of the best data practices around is to never store a plain text password. So I really took this to heart and implemented a hashing algorithm called DBJ2. It's a very simplistic algorithm. You can see it in the code. I'm sure I'll go over it. But for the time being, you can notice that there's no way to see the person's passwords regardless. This actually is a binary file. So everything that's inside this file should be directly loaded right back into memory. So I just thought I'd go over that real quick and show you while we were here. So if we go back to the application, we should notice now that if I type in my username Connor, it prompts us with the password. But if I enter in something that's not correct, obviously it won't let me in. Just like how if I enter in an incorrect username, it won't let me in. But if I enter in my correct credentials like that, we're now presented with the main home screen. So once on the home screen, we have a few different options here. So just like all the other menus, you would enter in these numbers right here to select these menus. So for number 1, we can list saved contacts. Number 2, we can add a new contact. Number 3, we can remove a saved contact. And 4, we can search Telebook for contacts. Number 4 is the global list of all of the other users on the Telebook application. So at the moment, there's only one, so you'll only be able to see our information on there. But I'll actually go back and create another account here pretty soon so I can show you how that works. If we use L, that will log us out of the account and send us back to that main sign-in screen that we have. If we use D, that will actually delete our account, which we will go over later. And then Q, obviously, will quit the application just like the other menu. So let's go log out real quick. So I'm just going to enter in an L. And let's create one more account. So I'm going to just call this John, and I'll give him the password Doe, and I'll give him the phone number 321. So when we go back into the main menu, I'm going to sign back into Connor with my credentials, and we'll now take a look at some of the features of Telebook. So for now, if I press 1 and enter, you'll see I have no saved contacts at the moment. So let's go search for a contact to add. If I enter 4, we can search the Telebook for contacts, and we'll notice that we have 2 users. So Connor, obviously being me, and then now there's John with the phone number 321. So let's say I wanted to add John as a saved contact. I would need to remember this right here. This is his username. So we'll remember John. If we go back to the main menu and we enter into the second menu, which is add a new contact, it'll prompt us with this prompt. It'll ask us to enter a username to add to saved contacts. So if I enter in John and press enter, it says we've added John to our saved contacts. Now, something to note real quick is that if I enter in a username that does not exist, for example, ASDF, it will say that this username does not exist. Likewise, if I enter somebody who I've already added, like John again, it will say that he is already a saved contact. So I just wanted to show that that was some of the error handling that's performed throughout Telebook. So if we enter into number 1, we can list our saved contacts. So we'll see that John is now a saved contact in Telebook. So ideally, there would be more users on this application, and you could add and remove users as you please. But for the time being, we only have 1 user. So every time you add a new user, it will just be added to the list, just like the global. So if we go back to the main menu, let's start by removing John. So if I go to 3, and then I enter in his username, it will say we removed John from our contacts. And then we can double check that by going back and listing our contacts, and we have no saved contacts. So that's pretty much the main overview of the application. One more feature that I will show you is how to delete your account. So if you press D, it will ask you to confirm by pressing Y. Now if I enter in anything other than that, it will fail. When you do delete your account, it will send you back to the main menu where you can log in or create a new account again. But if I show you, if I try to enter in Connor, it will not work. And that's basically Telebook in a nutshell. So let's take a look at the code. Now we're going to navigate over to Visual Studio. All of the files for this project are located on GitHub. So feel free to just copy and paste the code from there or use any portion of this. You don't have to type all of it out. I wouldn't want to do that to anybody. Basically here we have a few files. We have a main.c file, a menu.c file, and a users.c file. The 2 external class files, so to say, have header files that define all of my user-defined functions. To sort of start out, basically, our simple main loop here. We're going to load the file, which basically this function will just load all of the file in that users.data file that we saw earlier in the video. and then it's going to start the main menu loop. So if we go take a look at this main menu loop here, we have a variety of different menus that get popped up, but right here is our main menu code. So basically it's just parsing the user inputs and then running different functions depending on which case was selected. So very simple. The menus, there's nothing really too special here. It's pretty much just a bunch of loops and a lot of breaks. If you want to take a closer look at it, it's all on GitHub, but I'm going to focus more on the users class that I created because this is more of where the technical in-depth stuff happened. So in here, we have a struct that I created, which is a user. Within each user, you have a username, a password, which is a long, so it's not like a plain text password. This gets passed through a function, which is what I was talking about earlier, where we store the ciphertext rather than the plain text. We store a phone number. We store an array of contacts, and then how long that array is as another variable. So then we define how many users there are right here. So I'm pretty sure the max users is set to 16 by default. Not too sure off the top of my head. You can obviously change this in the header file if you want. This right here, this code was used from another user. I did not make this. This is a well-known hashing algorithm that's publicly available called DJB2. Warning though, please do not use this at all in a production environment. It is extremely insecure. There are rainbow tables for this password hashing algorithm, so please again do not use this in a secure environment. It will definitely get hacked for sure. So that function will take any password that's plain text and then just convert it into a big old random string of numbers. We have two functions here, so we have a store to file and a load from file. Each of these functions, obviously by their names, store the user's array to a file, and then it will obviously load it from a file. Next, we have a function called verify username exists. This basically just double checks that the username is an actual user. If not, it will return false. We have a verify contact already saved. Same idea, just checks if a contact is saved to a user. Now the validate credentials, this actually employs that hashing algorithm I was talking about. So it will loop through, find the user right here, and then it will use that user and double check that the password that's stored on their account is equal to the hashed plain text password that the user inputs in the menus. So this is just a basic implementation of password validation via a hashing algorithm. There's tons of resources online if you want to dig deeper into this, but I just wanted to show that I had the skills to implement this in C. Now we have a get phone by username. This just returns the phone for a user. We have an add user. This will just add a new user to that array. It does some weird stuff with the memory where it will shift the array around to make room. So if you wanted to take a closer look at that, you can. Then we have a remove function. This basically just removes the user from the index, and then like I was talking about, it just shifts all the elements left from wherever that was in the array. Again, you can take a look at this online if you would like. We have this. This is probably the most confusing function that I had to come up with, which was the add contacts to user. So since I didn't use malloc to use memory management, I had to find a way to shift everything to the right if I wanted to add a new contact, because obviously if I just added it to the user, it would overwrite the code for the next user, which is a memory leak. So what I did is I took a very unique approach. I basically just copied everything temporarily to different variables and then created a new user with that extra contact. So right here is where I was adding the new contact and then incrementing that length of contacts variable. And then basically all I did was just remove the user and add the user back. So I thought that was just a really clever way of fixing that and avoiding that whole problem of using malloc. It was just a really simple way of tackling that issue. This is just another function, basically does the exact same thing, just removes it instead. We have a list users function, so this just was used in the menus. It just lists out the users. and then also save contacts. And that's basically it. If you would like a little quick overview of all of the functions that are publicly available, you can just go to the header files. It will go over all the different user-defined functions. And then also in the menus.h, here are all the global variables that I set, and then the functions that can be called. And other than that, I think we are done. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I am more than willing to help you out if you need any help. And again, all of this code is publicly available on my GitHub, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much.